Hey guys, welcome back to Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Part 19. We just got done with Meekins, I think, for the rest of the case. And everything... Goodbye, Meekins. And everything is related to the Joe Dark killings from 2 years ago, otherwise known as the SL9 incident. Everyone involved in this case has been involved in the Joe Dark killings. Excuse me, I could obviously not be here without my mod Katie.
Hello.
I would not be doing this without my mod Katie, 1, and 2, if I even attempted to play Rise from the Ashes without her, you would never hear from me again. You would never find my body.
Wow, I'm not that extreme. Like, I know I love this case, but damn.
I'm getting the laughs out now because we're actually heading into a more serious part. Okay. Alright. I have my muffin off to the side to nibble on. I mean, for Emma to nibble on when she gets anxious whenever she returns because Emma ran off. So, let us continue. Yeah, try the ladder. Okay. I was like, did I click the wrong thing? Shit. We're good. The court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Skye.
Emma didn't come back.
Allow me to call the next witness to the stand. The officer in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of the crime. I've gotta... This is time for my horrible drawl to shine. Witness, please state your name and occupation. I love Jake, though. Like...
Same.
Of the NPCs in this, I'm not counting the Sky Sisters, but, like, of, like, the people you get up on the stand, Jake is my favorite, for sure. Me, partner? Oh, I'm just a man, same as you, wandering the trails of civilization. Occasionally helping the elderly cross intersections when needed. Yes, we get it. Oh, I know, you're a patrolman. As for my name, if you listen hard enough, you can hear the howling wind calling it out. I'm so sorry, Katie.
Why are you apologizing to me?
Because you have family in Texas. I'm so sorry.
I mean, they'd be laughing at, you know, your accent, so...
Good. I deserve it. Well, to be fair, Jake is not... to be fair, Jake is not Texan at all, so he actually probably would sound like he had a fake-ass accent. Because he's lived in West LA his entire life. According to Gumshoe. Oh, take a shot. I burned my tongue.
Good job.
Chat. To be fair. Good. Bless you, chat. Bless you, chat. Alright, just let my buddy know that he has to take a shot. Okay. To be exact, it's Jake Marshall, Your Honor.
Howling wind? I've never heard Edward described that way before.
It's not how I wrote about him in my diary. Now, Mr. Marshall, let me ask you something. You were in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day the crime took place. Is this correct? According to the papers, partner. Oh, what do you mean? Chat!
Nice.
I agree. I second that nice. A desperado's soul is as boundless as the desert sands. No paper can sum it up. Maybe it's best we get on with this quickly. Please share with us your testimony of the day of the crime. In plain old English. My job was to keep a wary eye on that bone orchard. They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems anyway. If I remember right, I was at a street-side saloon at the time I went down. I'm just an innocent traveling man, so if you're out of ammo, it's time I hit the trail. Blah, 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 blah. I can read lines. I can't say I particularly care for your attitude. I can't say I particularly care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Jake, this is how you get held in contempt. You never talk back to a judge. My mother is a lawyer. You never talk back to a judge, like, ever. Ever. Oh, my lord.
Wait a minute. What do you mean by two security systems?
Nick, I think you know what they are. I mean the security... Yeah, I was like, Nick. I mean the security cameras and the ID card reader. I reckon even a cowpoke like you knows about those.
Yes, well, what about the fingerprint-activated locks on the evidence lockers?
Fingerprint-activated locks? What kind of newfangled doohickeys are those?
He's not being very helpful.
He's not that good with machines, or with following orders. Much like a certain defense attorney I know.
Excuse you?
I realized this is going to be the most obscure reference in the world. I realized what my voice is slowly morphing into, at least to me, my Marshall voice, is slowly morphing into Sheriff Butler from Darkseed 2. And if all of you have giant question marks over your head, good. If you don't, I'm so sorry. That's all I'm going to say. Everyone's got their weaknesses, now don't they, Mr. Prosecutor? And this one seems like trouble. Okay, Mr. Wright. He's all yours. This one's trouble. Fucking take him.
Thanks. Okay. How exactly did you keep an eye on the evidence room?
I just made sure nothing moved in the security camera monitor. That room's so still, even time dies in there. I was just a caretaker who interred the recordings.
You interred them?
Videos of nothing aren't that useful. When the time would come, I'd erase the tape. If nothing unusual is recorded, tapes are to be erased every 6 hours. Each time I'd erase a tape, it felt like I was erasing a part of my life.
This guy has a flair for the dramatic, but it isn't going to do him any good.
Nick, you are one to talk, my dude.
So, in actuality, you didn't physically enter the evidence room. But you made your rounds on the day of the crime, right?
Ain't you heard a word I said, partner? I told you that ain't my style.
I'm afraid I don't understand.
No desperado I know lets rules get in his way.
No desperado I know joins the police force.
So, Officer Marshall, on the day of the crime, just between you and me, I didn't set foot in the evidence room that day. There was a rubber glove stuck in the victim's locker. Do you know anything about that? Sorry, partner. Can't say I do. I haven't been in that crypt in weeks.
How does this guy avoid being fired?
Probably the cacti. I just had a horrible desperado. Why don't you come to your senses? Bless you. I grew up on, like, old country. Thank you. Thank you. I also just had a horrifying thought. I actually know quite a few Texans that have the capacity to hear this.
I was about to say, why is being Texan a bad thing?
It's not. It's not at all. my mother was born in Texas, I thank you. But, and the people are very nice down there, but, it's just that I would get laughed to hell and back by the Texans that I know for this. I was like, oh shit. So, to Texas, I'm sorry.
Good.
Good? Are you trying to do it like a Vine Sauce Joel thing there?
No, I was just trying to whisper good.
You got like really close to the mic like he does. I'm not gonna do any Joel voices like Bulk Bogan, but like, you know, you get really close to the mic like he did when he does his Bulk voice.
Anyway.
You did, and then you just went, good. It was just a very Joel from Vine Sauce moment. It was a very Vine Sauce Joel moment. I appreciated the hell out of it.
You used to be a detective, so you're saying the evidence room in the, you've used the evidence room in the past, correct?
Of course. Back in the day, my locker was a gold mine of evidence.
And yet, you didn't know about the fingerprint locking mechanisms?
Sorry, partner. I ain't good with machines. I couldn't even tell you how a bike works.
That's, quite incredible.
Considering a bike isn't really a machine, alright? The sensors on the locker handles cannot be seen. It's well known that some detectives are unaware of their presence.
Now that he mentions it, Detective Gumshoe said something like that too.
At any rate, it doesn't seem like I'm loving it. So that's what I was reminding myself of, sorry. At any rate, it doesn't seem that this is relevant to the crime. Can you tell us what you were doing when the crime took place? If I remember right... Oh, nope, I got too excited. Oh, God. Oh, God. Don't talk about clown music. We're not going to get there until JFA. Please, I want to repress that as much as possible.
What were you doing in a place like that?
I was eating spaghetti.
Spaghetti Western.
I love Jake so fucking much. Like, what the fuck were you doing? I was eating spaghetti. It's a pun on spaghetti Western, you see. Just like you pointed out, Vaughn, obviously. I'm repeating you. Oh. Did you point that out, or did you make that up, Katie?
No, I pointed that out.
Okay. Oh, God. Not even Angel steak lunches can beat that parlors. Oh, God. I'm doing Duolingo for Spanish, not for Italian right now. God damn it. Italian's next.
Angola sepia.
Okay. Not even Angel steak lunches can beat that parlor's Mongole sepia pasta. Do you mean to tell us you abandoned your police duties to eat some noodles? Not all desperados eat tacos, partner. That's not what I meant. I hope this has at least taught you a lesson.
That's strange. This is usually where Edward says...
Did you not want to raise this year? I've given up on him.
Wow, I heard Edgeworth's voice clearly in my head.
Right, I'm speaking to you from across the courtroom.
Actually, that was Nick's inner monologue, but yes.
Yeah, but it's all over his face.
Yeah, that's true.
That is canon. No, Jake can stay. Jake will stay. Jake is amazing.
Out of ammo, Officer Marshall?
That's right, partner. Or as you'd call it, evidence. If you plan to pin me to this crime, then you better draw. Otherwise, you're just wasting my time. My steel horse is waiting to carry me back west into the sunset. One thing seems clear. Despite being responsible for guarding the evidence room, the witness doesn't appear to have seen anything. Texans don't take orders from anyone. Everyone knows that.
Apparently your superiors don't. Okay, I have a trump card up my sleeve, so I'd best keep my cool. Before I use it, though, I'd better up the ante.
You like poker, Nick?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
love poker.
Yeah. Okay, let me just double check the evidence. I'm not actually gonna present anything here. Okay. Yeah, we don't know who that number belongs to, but he did not enter. At least it does not show him officially entering. So we do have to show his fingerprints.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Just making sure. Because Nick was like, oh, I better up the ante. I've got a trump card. And I'm like, the fingerprints are your trump card, my dude. You present it here, I believe, because he's challenging you.
Yep. Because he's saying he wasn't there.
Yep. Alright.
Officer Marshall, doesn't it strike you as odd? That is, you being called to testify like this. After all, you weren't in the security room at the time of the crime.
And yet you dragged me down here. Explain yourself, partner.
It's quite simple. You left a very large trail behind at the scene. Or, to be exact, a handprint.
Listen real good, partner. Like I said, I'm the caretaker of that crypt. I pay my respects. That is, make my rounds. About once a month. It's only natural my fingerprints would be in there.
I only wish it were, officer. But you see, your fingerprints were covered in blood.
Witness, what's the meaning of this? Your bloodstained fingerprints were at the crime scene?
The blood was wiped away, however. A luminol test clearly revealed this. Well, Officer Marshall?
Let me just shave a bit with a knife here. Just couple off the jawline. Balls of steel. Seems to me there ain't a person in this room with a head on his shoulders.
Huh?
I take it you have an explanation then, Officer Marshall. About the blood-stained fingerprints. Very well, you may begin your testimony about your fingerprints found at the scene of the crime. Like I said, it's only natural for my fingerprints to be in that evidence room. One of them just happened to be at the same place as the blood-stained handprint. The murderer touched the locker where my fingerprint was by chance. Blood stained and the fingerprint are completely unrelated. Or didn't you know the murderer was wearing gloves? See? I had nothing to do with it. But how do you know the murderer was wearing gloves, Jake? The witness's explanation appears valid. Although there's room for doubt. Life wouldn't be any fun without any doubt, partner. The defense may now cross-examine the witness.
This guy's hiding something. I can feel it. Now's my chance to prove it. That's because you, how did you put it? Pay your respects once a month?
Yeah, that's right. That and one more thing. That locker happens to be mine. What? What do you mean? I mean what I said. That's the locker I used when I was a detective. The locker I still use. All that's in there now, though, is a heap of broken dreams.
I see.
It'd be strange if my prints weren't all over that locker.
Apparently his fingerprint data was never removed from the locker's programming. He must have been using the fingerprint lock all this time without ever knowing it.
Partial fingerprints updated. Yeah, it was found on his own locker. That is what has been updated.
So then, what about the bloody handprint?
Wasn't mine. It's no mystery. But please explain. My locker is covered with my fingerprints. Just so happened.
The chances of that happening are 1,000,000 to 1.
On the contrary, one could argue just the opposite. The chances of that not happening are 1,000,000 to 1. Get one thing straight, partner. You ain't gonna get no reward from me with a mere fingerprint. You wanna know why?
Unrelated.
They're as different as night and day. Kinda like cereal and cereal. One's got to do with breakfast, while the other's a type of murder. I was literally about to make that joke, so I do remember some things. He's right. Although seemingly alike, they're totally different.
I don't see what homonyms have to do with this.
Can you imagine, though? Like, you go downstairs, and you're like, man, I'm hungry. And you just want some fucking Cheerios. And you, like, open up the cupboard and, like, Ted Bundy pops out.
I was gonna say surprise a Ted Bundy.
Yeah. He was the first one I could think of off the top of my head. I know that's, like, basic serial killer, but, like...
Oh, boy.
Ted Bundyos?
No.
Yeah, I agree. No. Please don't glorify serial killers. They're fucked up people. Yeah. You get the Zodiac Killer. Open the cabinet, a stack of horoscopes fall out. God damn it, the Zodiac Killer struck my frosted mini wheats again. Why is he like this? Alright, chat and I were going for the same thing. I know the joke you desperately want to say, Mod. And you're desperately trying not to.
You do? Because I didn't know there was a joke I was gonna make.
Oh. About who you say his true identity is?
Oh, yeah, I mean, they're still investigating that. Oh, yeah, the conspiracy one, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, your joke one, not the actual one.
Like, look, that news overrode the conspiracy one, so I have to remember to distinguish those two.
Okay, that's true. How did you know, Jake? Yeah.
How do you know that?
I may be a loner, but I still do my job. I keep up on the reports. There was a bloodstain at the scene, thought to be left by the murderer.
That's right. It was found on Detective Gumshoe's locker.
However, no fingerprints were detected on that handprint.
Oh yeah, I think we tried that too.
So that would mean the murderer, wearing gloves, happened to place their hand on top of Officer Marshall's fingerprint. That's the only logical conclusion. Are you starting to get the picture, partner?
The picture?
The seal of blood in the desert, it's just food for the buzzards.
Hmm?
There's only one reality, and that's this.
Security tape.
God damn it. So long as my trail isn't in there, you can't say otherwise. This isn't getting us anywhere, Mr. Wright. Please consider carefully where you're going with this cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor.
And now then, continue your testimony, Officer Marshall. Too bad it wasn't me in that video, right, partner? But it is, and we can use the video itself to prove you wrong.
Or we have to press the statement.
Right.
Because it's a new statement.
I got excited. I got excited.
What do you mean by that?
You want to tie me to this crime, isn't that right, partner? If so, that video is the only direct evidence you have.
But that video is next to useless. It's full of blind spots.
Blind spots?
Places you can't see. The camera's panning back and forth. The floor isn't shown. If someone was familiar with the camera's position, they could leave the room without ever being caught on tape.
We don't have time for your speculations, Mr. Wright. Well, Mr. Wright, if you can show us evidence in this video that indicates Officer Marshall was present, please do so now. Okay, now we show the evidence.
Now we show the evidence.
Which is the reappearing piece of cloth, which I think is the scarf.
Very well.
Or a scarf.
Allow me to point out your mistake, Officer Marshall. And no, not a scarf.
Okay, I just remember it's that piece of cloth. Tread carefully, Mr. Wright, or you might wind up being the one making the mistake. Now then, let's have another look at this godforsaken video. Show us this incriminating evidence of the witness, Officer Jake Marshall. Alright. I've heard this so many fucking times. Okay, not yet. It's after Meekins gets his knights locked out and you can see blood. I almost went over to court records.
Bringing our attention back to the security camera is a mistake I'm afraid you'll soon not forget, Officer Marshall.
The days are short in Texas, and so are our tempers. Could you sum up what you have to say in 8 words or less?
Very well. You can clearly be seen in this video.
8 words exactly. Yeah, exactly 8 words. Not bad, partner.
The key lies in a certain locker shown in this video.
That locker with the white cloth sticking out. That was the witness's, I believe.
Now then, let's rewind the video a bit.
Oh, just on regular time? Okay, yeah. Alright. Take your fucking time. As I stare into my hell. I.e. the badger's eyes. Oh, the white cloth. It's gone. What's the meaning of this, Officer Marshall?
When the crime took place, that white cloth wasn't there. Then it suddenly appeared. There's only one explanation. Officer Marshall, you were in the evidence room at the time of the crime. What's more, you opened your locker when the camera was turned away.
Order! Order! It would seem that's the only... Hold your horses. Sorry, partner. You got the wrong man. So what if my locker was open? That doesn't mean I'm the one who opened it. The murderer needed to hide something, so he opened the locker and stuck it in. It's not my fault he happened to choose mine. Why is everyone staring at me like I'm a wanted man?
This guy isn't just playing dumb. He really doesn't know. I hate to raid on your parade, but you're the only person who can open that particular locker.
Oh yeah? I call your bluff. You say I opened that locker? Now prove it. Alright, how about the locker itself? Only the assigned detective's fingerprints can unlock it. Look at this beautiful locker. Take that! Now eat it. A fingerprint sensor.
Like we talked about earlier. We talked about this earlier today.
We have both been playing these games far too much.
The locker can only be opened by the detective if they belong to.
Oh, thank you, chat. What kind of crazy talk is this?
Well, Detective Gumshoe did mention something about this.
Oh god, I gotta go to Gumshoe. Alright, I need to get the... In any case, the locks aren't that obvious. There are even some people on the force that don't know about the fingerprint locks. Ha!
So, Sheriff, what do you have to say in 8 words or less?
I love it when Nick gets smarmy back at them and with that kind of shit.
Same.
I only got one word for you, partner. No! Jake, that's not how you eat jerky. Order! 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 Witness, explain yourself. This is a joke. It's the worst I've ever heard.
I assure you, this is no joke, Officer Marshall. Now then, tell us what you were doing in the evidence room at the time of the crime.
Olay! Please answer the question.
What is he now, a bullfighter? That's all right, Officer Marshall. I believe we can figure the rest out from here.
We can?
Have a look at these floor plans. There is no place for someone to hide in that evidence room. Yet, Officer Meekins didn't see Officer Marshall.
If that's so, then where was the witness? It seems Mr. Wright has an answer.
That's right. The only possible conclusion.
Well then, let's hear it. Where was Officer Marshall at the time of the crime? He's the victim. Take that! There was blood on that coat.
Officer Marshall was standing right here.
There, but that's where the victim, Detective Goodman, was.
Correct. Unless the man wasn't Detective Goodman. I believe the victim in that video was Officer Marshall. It was you, dressed up like Detective Goodman.
But that's preposterous. Officer Meekins witnessed the detective at the crime scene. Once he saw the man's face, he'd know for sure.
May I point out, though, that Officer Meekins did not know Detective Goodman. He also testified about the man's reaction when confronted. Oh god.
You do have to go back to Meekins.
When I entered the evidence room, I asked him to show me his card, sir. Yes. And how did Detective Goodman respond? He suddenly pulled a knife on me!
Meekins, sweetie, knock that shit off.
Something about the officer's story puzzled me. If the man had his ID card, why didn't he just show it?
Yes, he would have needed it to enter the evidence room, so he must have been carrying it.
And the answer is simple. He couldn't show it. As you can see, Detective Goodman's picture is on his ID card.
Oh, I get it.
If he had shown that, his cover would have been blown. Officer Meekins would have realized the man wasn't Detective Goodman. Do you have anything to say to that, Officer Marshall?
You've got quite an imagination, partner. We got a term for that. It's called circumstantial evidence.
Circumstantial evidence? He's still denying it.
You're gonna have to do better than that to break a detective. Unless you have hard evidence proving I dressed up as the victim. I can't say I particularly care for your uncooperative disposition. I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Well, Mr. Wright, do you have any evidence proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that Officer Marshall dressed up as the victim?
Well, who am I kidding? I don't have anything like that.
I can see the fear in your eyes, partner. Seems you're the one who couldn't take the desert heat.
This can't be happening. It was so obvious that he's the one. What can I do?
It looks like your lack of experience has finally been exposed. I'll pass on to you what someone told me when I was just starting out. When you've run into a wall with no place to go, return to the basics.
The basics? For me, that would be like what Mia used to tell me. Phoenix, try thinking outside the box. I shouldn't look for proof that Officer Marshall was in disguise. But rather, I should look for evidence that came about because he was in disguise.
Why do you think this locker was opened in the first place? What do you mean? There's no reason for Officer Marshall to open his locker at the time of the crime. Yet he did, despite the chance that it might be discovered later as it had been.
Which it means he didn't originally plan to open his locker.
According to the defense's argument, Officer Jake Marshall dressed up as Detective Goodman at the time of the crime. Then, after the crime was committed, he opened his own locker for some unknown reason. The fact that a white cloth is sticking out of the locker seems to indicate that he opened it in order to put the cloth inside. So, just what exactly is this piece of cloth? Oh, it's his fucking disguise. It's not the scarf. It's the
I was waiting for you to get that.
I've also been reading chat. Nick, why are you helping me? What's going on? Why are you being weird? Miles is just like, just don't look too deeply into it, alright? Damn! Pretty much. Well, I mean, it also helps Miles, because if they prove that there was no murder at the police station, that helps his case against Lana. So...
Perhaps the video is the key to all our unanswered questions.
Of course it is.
I don't have any evidence, so this video is my only shot.
Very well. Let's take yet another look at the security tape. After committing the crime, the witness opened the locker to put away the white cloth. Please show us why the witness had to open his locker. Okay, so I know it's because he's wearing the coat. The exact point, is it any point that we see him?
Yes,
Okay.
It is when you want me to just tell you?
Is it when you actually see the blood on the coat?
Yes, around
Okay,
then.
that's what I thought, because I'm like, I remember that blood coming into play. Okay. Badger. Okay. So, yeah, like right there. Because look at that.
Nah, move it a little bit. We need a clearer shot of that.
Okay. Fast forward. Okay, well, now we're getting into the Badger territory again.
Yep.
So that, right there?
Yeah, this should be good.
Okay.
For some reason, you disguised yourself as Detective Goodman and entered the evidence room, though I don't know to what end yet.
Yeah.
However, something unexpected happened. Officer Meekins barged in on you. When asked to show your ID card, you pulled a knife on him,
You know, as you do.
as one does.
Yeah.
However, Officer Meekins panicked, and that white coat of yours you were wearing was soiled with blood.
A bloody white coat.
You couldn't just walk out like that. So you hid the coat in your locker.
Not bad, partner. Now then, Officer Marshall. Are you ready to tell us the truth? Looks like I underestimated y'all. I hope you're happy now, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago. If you were only half as persistent then as you are today, we all wouldn't have to be here now. Now would we?
Officer Marshall! Tell the court what you did. All of it.
Officer Marshall, stop picking on my boyfriend. I've had enough. All right. Seems the time has come. I had to do it that day. I couldn't just stand by and let it die. I stole the detective's ID and dressed like him. I planned to take out the evidence. I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. Knocked him out and managed to escape. I knew which areas wouldn't be caught on the camera. There wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. So the supposed victim was really you. But there's one thing I still don't understand. Traces of a large quantity of blood were found on the floor of the evidence room. If no one was murdered, then how could that be? Officer Meekins managed to cut his own hand. My guess is he's the donor.
It was way too much blood for such a small donation. When you say it, you mean
Do you even have to ask, partner?
the SL9 incident.
2 years have passed since that case was closed. It was going to completely end with the transferal that day. if I have anything to do with it. That incident's not over.
But what did you hope to accomplish by sneaking into the evidence room?
When a case is closed, only that case's lead detective can look through the evidence. I wanted to have a look at it myself one more time, no matter what the cost. I don't care what anyone says, partner. That case is mine.
But Officer Marshall wasn't in charge of the investigation. Why does he care so much about it?
That day was my last chance. That's why
Why did you disguise yourself as Detective Goodman?
if I didn't make it look like Goodman was carrying out the evidence transferal, I'd be arrested for stealing evidence, which wouldn't get me anywhere. So you did it to fool the security camera. And the detective's ID card. I stole that the morning of the incident.
So that really was why Goodman started filling out the lost item report.
I returned his ID card. I left it on the floor in the prosecutor's office parking lot.
The ID card I found was left there by Officer Marshall?
So essentially, you managed to succeed despite your lack of foresight. What do you mean, partner? I mean the fingerprint-activated lock, of course. No matter how well you disguise yourself, you can't change your fingerprints. Under normal circumstances, you wouldn't have been able to open that locker yourself.
But he could because a rubber glove had just happened to be stuck in the door. That means Detective Goodman must have opened his locker before Officer Marshall. You pulled a knife on Officer Meekins and tried to drive him off.
Let's just say I was a little surprised. I only planned on being in the evidence room for no more than 5 minutes. I didn't think anyone would actually come in during that short time. Officer Meekins certainly is a one-in-a-million type person. Mistaking a detective for an intruder and demanding to be shown his ID. I'll have to think a little more about his raise this year.
When did Edgeworth get so much influence?
I'm High Prosecutor, Wright. Anyway, he threw himself at me and I ended up cutting him slightly. Sorry it had to turn out that way. With me knocking him out and everything.
By the way, what happened to your knife?
Oh, you mean this one?
I don't know what to say.
So you knocked Officer Meekins out and...
So you did your research beforehand?
Oh, shit, sorry. Mouse drifted down. Those who go into the desert unprepared don't live long, partner. I didn't think it would make a difference, though. The security tape is erased every 6 hours. If all had gone as planned, no footage would have been left. However, you bloodied your coat in your struggle with Officer Meekins. If someone was in the security room when I came out, jig would have been up. I opened my locker and stashed it in there.
What was Officer Meekins doing during that time?
What else? He was sleeping like a baby. So what you're saying is, on that day...
But the blood found at the scene certainly indicates a crime took place.
What are you, blind? The victim shown on that tape is me. I'm not dead yet, partner. So you stole the evidence from the locker. Actually, no, I didn't. Why not? When I opened the locker, the evidence was already gone. What? Mr. Edgeworth, where is that evidence? It's still missing, Your Honor.
Detective Goodman's locker was already empty? Someone else stole the evidence. Officer Marshall, may I ask you one thing?
Fire away, partner. It's a free country. Just remember, I'm also free to decide whether or not to answer.
Why did you do this? Stealing a detective's ID? Injuring a police officer? This is no small offense.
Moreover, you're an officer yourself. This will have serious consequences. It can't just be forgiven with a simple cut in salary.
Not that salary cuts are ever a valid solution.
They are for Edgeworth. Like I said, this isn't your case. This one is mine. And I'll do anything it takes to get an answer I'm satisfied with. The witness has an unusual amount of zeal. Let's hear more. I can't just forget the SL incident. You know why?
But the case was solved 2 years ago, wasn't it?
That's the reason the evidence was stored in the evidence room. Joe Dock was convicted for his crimes. One thing I can say for sure is he deserved his sentence. I remember the Joe Dock case. It involved serial murders, didn't it? I don't intend to complain about how it turned out. There's something that still bothers me. Something went down at that trial. Something no one will talk about. What happened? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find out.
Why is he so concerned with that incident? Maybe I should present him with what I think is his real answer is. I had a feeling we'd wind up here sooner or later. Everyone involved here is related in some way to that case. I'd better take another look at the files.
Okay, just so I know what page it's on. Just in case. They're like, what page? And not, you know, like, what area. Okay, page 2.
Officer Marshall, I think I understand. I think I know why you care so much about this SL9 incident.
Sounds like you've been sipping too much cactus juice, partner.
I have the SL9 incident files here. The name Marshall is mentioned in here. In the list of murder victims. Neil Marshall, are you related to this man?
Oh, my heart. My heart. Neil Marshall. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard the name. 2 years ago, he received the same lousy prosecutor award you got. Oh, what? A prosecutor?
He must be talking about the King of Prosecutors Award.
Now I remember. Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He handled the SL9 case before I did. That's right. He was killed. And the case fell into your hands. But what's his relation to you? He was my brother. He was investigating the murders with Damon Gann, the then deputy chief of police. I love that sprite of Jake with his hat off.
Yeah.
Over his heart. Also, yes, I think the same thing when I see cactus juice. It's the quenchiest. The group of detectives I was part of worked under them. We were desperate to prosecute the killer. Joe Dark. My brother fought Dark and was killed. That was the first time Dark left behind any evidence. That was what we all needed. He was arraigned and incarcerated. Case was finally closed. At least according to the public records. What do you mean? My brother couldn't have been killed by Joe Dark. I knew my brother better than anyone. No one could have beaten him in a fight. And that's it? That's your reason for your insane actions? There's more to my brother's death than what the records say. No matter how much you try to hide it, you can't fool me. Well, at least one thing's for certain. Now we know what happened at the police department on the day of the crime. That was the last day the SL9 case could be reopened. Not satisfied with this resolution, Officer Marshall planned to steal the evidence.
Disguising himself as Detective Goodman, he entered the evidence room. Officer Meekins confronted him, so he rendered him unconscious and fled.
Yes, this mystery has finally been cleared up. No murder took place at the police department that day.
Hmm?
The things that happen by chance never cease to amaze. At exactly the same time as the murder at the prosecutor's office, this fake murder was going on at the police department.
Hans. It's gotta be more than just that.
So if no one was murdered at the police department on the day of the crime, that means the murder in the prosecutor's office parking lot was the real one. Which in turn means only one person could have committed the crime. Chief Prosecutor Lana Skye.
But wait! A verdict wasn't reached in yesterday's trial.
Which is why we examined the incident at the police department today.
But...
There's only one reason the defendant was not convicted yesterday. There yet remained the mystery of the simultaneous murder at the police department. Seems to me, this boy's got the draw on you, partner. All of the mysteries at the police department have been resolved, no doubt about it. Our sole murder took place at the prosecutor's office. The only suspect is Lana Skye, and the testimony of one Ms. Angel Starr is completely incontestable. If you have a response, make it a single word or less. I rest my case. It seems this trial has reached its conclusion. There's no room for doubt. Well done, Mr. Wright. Thanks to you, I didn't need to waste my time. Disproving the alleged murder at the police department. There's a goddammit Edgeworth from chat. Also, I want to say, real quick, Katie and I have been watching the stage plays, like, kind of one at a time. And we watched Turnabout Spotlight last night. Fucking excellent, by the way.
Oh yeah.
That one was great. They did not handle Farewell My Turnabout, which is a canon case. They didn't handle it well because they tried to condense it into 2 hours. It just didn't really fly. But Turnabout Spotlight was excellent, and I want to say the guy that plays Miles, like, the whole cast is great, but the guy that plays Miles is spectacular, and the way he does that bow is fantastic. Like, that's... I can't imagine it better, honestly. What about you?
No, I mean, it's great.
Yeah, it's pretty much exactly how Miles would be doing that gesture, I think. Which is still over the top and ridiculous, but it looks very elegant when he does it. So yeah, highly recommend Turnabout Spotlight. You can find it subbed on YouTube. I won't say by who because I don't want them to get, you know, I don't want their channel to get pulled down or anything like that. But you can find it completely translated with subs on YouTube. And we haven't watched the other two yet, so. Sorry, did you read your line or did I interrupt you?
You interrupted.
I'm sorry.
There's no doubt what I proved today is true. The apparent murder on the security camera tape really was fake. But I didn't realize they would end up proving Lana guilty.
Now then, the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant... Oh. Oh, okay. Your Honor, wait!
Emma!
The defense has an objection. A scientific objection. Right?
What do you mean, Wright?
Mr. Wright, are you this girl's guardian?
Your Honor? Oh, in a sense.
Please, Your Honor, all I'm asking is for a minute of your time. Please hear me out. Mr. Edgeworth, please. I don't want to leave any loose ends. You want a minute? I'll give you 3. I was kind of in shock. I mean, finding out the SL9 incident referred to the Joe Dart killings?
Now that she mentions it, the name of both Sky sisters were in that file.
But that's when I figured it out. I mean, what Officer Marshall was trying to do that day. So I knew his fingerprint had nothing to do with the crime. That left only one thing. The other handprint. You mean the traces of blood found on Detective Gumshoe's locker. But no fingerprints were found on it, right? No, but I figured if I examined it scientifically, I'd be sure to find a clue. So I ran over there and looked at it again.
So, did you find something?
No.
Huh?
Sorry, I guess I'm not much of a scientific investigator after all.
Is that all?
Please don't be mad. I'm just a high school student.
And I'm just an attorney.
But, Mr. Wright, those traces of blood are the only clue that we have. If we can't find something wrong with them... Please, Mr. Wright, you're a professional. If anyone can save Lana, it's you.
Me? Oh, boy.
Time's up. Now then, Mr. Wright. With regard to the incident at the police department, does any reasonable doubt remain? It appears the defense is troubled by the other blood mark. Looking at the floor plans, a handprint was discovered around here. Is there a problem with this? Mr. Wright, I'm sorry I can't be of more use. But still, if you can't find anything wrong with that blood mark, Lana will be... Please answer my question, Mr. Wright. We don't have all day.
Yes, Your Honor. If ever I've needed to concentrate, it's now. What could be wrong with the handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker? Could there be something I'm missing?
Yeah, there was a giant wriggling piece of plywood in front of it. There was Hellspawn in front of it.
This handprint left at the crime scene clearly shows a contradiction.
The only thing that seems clear is your grasping, Mr. Wright.
Hang on.
You've been staring pretty intently at those floor plans. Tell me, is there a problem with them?
Yes, this is strange. Take a good look at these floor plans. Something is missing.
Missing? You mean something hasn't been drawn on there?
Yes, something that, when drawn, will completely change the meaning of the blood mark.
let us pray the defense isn't simply trying to buy time. Very well, Mr. Wright.
With all this evidence here, there's gotta be something I can use.
The question is, which item can prove something is missing in the floor plans? How about this hellspawn? What about that piece of plywood?
The Blue Badger, the mascot of the police force. Defender of truth, guardian of proof.
You are giggling. Are you laughing at my suffering?
Yes.
And how it stares into my eyes, even when it's not on screen, and into my soul?
Yes.
Yeah, Blue Badger Vertagen. Explain yourself, Mr. Wright.
Please look at the floor plan of the crime scene. The Blue Badger is not here.
So?
So, watch what happens when we put him in. This is where he was dancing at the time of the crime. Well?
Well, what?
That's right. So long as the Blue Badger is dancing here...
It was wriggling, it wasn't dancing.
Dancing?
Oh, I can't believe this.
It would be impossible to place a handprint on the spot on the locker.
What? Wasn't sure how to voice that, sorry. So that means, just what exactly does that mean?
It means it can't be done.
What are you saying? Blood traces were undeniably found on that locker.
Don't look at me, I didn't put it there.
That was extremely gumshoe sounding and I laughed. I guess when I panic I go to gumshoe, I don't know. Thank you, Gummy, patron saint of investigations. Mr. Wright, think through it scientifically.
Emma.
Yeah, hi, I'm here. On that afternoon, Officer Meekins was the one who brought the Blue Badger to the evidence room, right? After he put it down, it would be impossible to leave a handprint on that locker.
So that must mean this blood mark was left there before the Blue Badger was brought in.
Just one moment. I will not allow such far-fetched balderdash in my courtroom. Your Honor, the defense cross-examined a parrot.
I did.
You will allow quite a bit of leeway in your courtroom.
It may sound far-fetched, Your Honor, but it's the only possible explanation. On February 21st, in the police department's evidence room, blood was spilled not once, but twice.
But how?
One time was captured on this tape, taken by the security camera. Officer Meekins cut his hand, from which a trivial amount of blood fell. And the problem is, the other time. Someone bled prior to the struggle shown on the tape. It had to have been. It had to have been. Detective Goodman, when he was really murdered.
That's ridiculous. I refuse to accept your absurd claim.
The murder portrayed in the security tape had been proven to be fake. However, that does not explain the blood mark found on the locker.
So then, assuming this murder you purport really happened, when did it take place? I demand you show evidence that proves when it occurred.
When did the first incident occur?
To summarize, the defense claims that prior to Officer Meekins being caught by Jake Marshall, who was posing as Detective Goodman, another incident took place in that evidence room.
That's right. The blood mark on the locker proves this.
Very well. Then tell us, when did this first incident occur? As Mr. Edgeworth said, proof must be presented.
Proof that shows when the murder took place. There's only one piece of evidence that can show that.
Now then, will the defense please present its evidence? What shows when the first crime took place? Look at this card reader data.
If the crime took place inside the evidence room, then the killer would have had to enter it. And in order to do so, an ID card would have been required.
An ID card? Oh, the ID card record.
Officer Meekins brought the Blue Badger panel into the evidence room at... Let's see here.
5:40 p.m. Oh, great minds think alike, Mr. Wright. If the crime took place before that time, then it would be 4:40 p.m. Miles Edgeworth! Just what have you done?
No!
I never would have figured you had the nerve, boy. Drop the act, witness. It doesn't take a lot of thought to figure out that it couldn't have been me. Nope. I ain't getting it.
Oh my god.
I'm afraid I don't understand either.
Oh, I'm sorry, Edgeworth.
It's clear from the luminol test that blood was there. However, when the second crime took place, both Officer Meekins and Officer Marshall failed to notice the blood.
That means the blood from the first crime was wiped away. By the real murderer. Not Miles.
What did you call me?
Edgeworth.
I would have had just 10 minutes to murder the victim, carry his body away, and clean up the blood. Unfortunately, that's physically impossible. That would mean the crime must have taken place before Mr. Edgeworth entered the evidence room.
Let's look at the chart again. There's only one card number remaining. 7777777.
At 4:20, blaze it. Talk about a lucky number.
Jesus fucking Christ.
What?
I'm trying to be serious here.
Look, I can't not. I always must pay homage to Lord Snoop. But wait, that doesn't make any sense. How could Detective Goodman have entered the evidence room?
Since there's no record of his card being used beforehand, he must have entered along with the real murderer. That's the only plausible explanation. He went in with 777777.
Oh my god. I'm continually impressed by you being able to read these numbers without tripping over yourself. Because the only thing I can do is 8675309. Mr. Edgeworth, please look into this ASAP. Find out whose ID number is 77777777777. That's several sevens too many, Your Honor. Unfortunately, I'm unable to look up the owner of that ID card. At least at present.
What?
Explain yourself, son. The ID number 7777777 belongs to someone with a rank of captain or higher. To do that, I literally had to put my finger on the screen and count the sevens as I went. Someone who is a so-called executive officer. We don't have the authority to inquire into such a person's identity.
But that's ridiculous. Just how?
I'm not finished talking, Mr. Wright. There is one situation in which we can be granted such authority. If an official charge is filed against an executive is accepted.
An official charge?
Yes. I don't appreciate you growling at me from across the courtroom either. At least not like that.
Please. What was that?
Anyway. You're all alike, aren't you? Sorry, I keep interrupting your Nick.
Oh. What was that?
Mr. Wright called Mr. Edgeworth Miles his first name? Talks about growling across the courtroom in a different way?
Emma. Stop jotting that down for now.
I need to write it down before I forget. It's just, see, I have like pages dedicated to it here and then pages dedicated to the case.
Oh boy.
So it's all good. My notes aren't going to get mixed up.
Oh boy.
With your cover-ups and your forgeries. That's how the prosecutor's office operates. I take pride in my work, Officer Marshall. I would appreciate it if you would keep your slander to yourself. Slander, is it? Okay. Let me ask a question. Yes? No, not to you. Wow. My voices. Help me. No, not to you. To her. Whoa! Help me. I just went British. Where am I? Help! I just went back to Victorian England. Help me.
I think Mr. Marshall needs to sit down. Damn.
I think Sherlock Holmes is teleported into the 21st century.
No. No.
Hello, my dear fellows.
No.
Good sir, you look very familiar.
Send him back. Send him back.
Let him cause chaos everywhere.
Miles Edgeworth, please agree with me on this one. Okay, he's been banished. So
okay, I have unpaused the recording. To anybody watching on YouTube, no time has passed. To everyone else, maybe like 5 to 10 minutes has passed because it has taken me that long to try to like reset my brain. I'm so sorry, Katie.
I wish Maya was here to banish it.
He's gone. He's gone. He's gone. He's gone. He sadly will not grace us with his presence for a while yet. Okay. Fake Texan. Fake Texan. Sheriff Butler from Darkseed 2. So fast your head will spin. Alright. I almost just went full British again. Jesus Christ. You know what? No, not to you. To her, the defendant sitting over there. There we go. Jesus Christ. Your own little executive.
Lana?
Don't be stupid. She's been charged with murder. Of course we've looked up her ID number. And it's not 777-7777. Don't play me for a fool, partner. That's not what I want to ask. All I want to know is one thing about that incident. The SL9 incident? Answer me this, Chief Prosecutor. In that trial 2 years ago, did you really only use legitimate evidence? Oh, thank God, Lana. Do you need the witness to repeat his question, Chief Prosecutor?
I heard him fine, Mr. Edgeworth.
2 years ago, I was in charge of the prosecution for that trial. At the time,
Occasionally, we felt the powerlessness of the law. At least, I did.
Lana...
I became a prosecutor in order to suppress crimes with the law. But before I realized it, we were the ones being suppressed by the law.
Defendant, just what are you saying? I'll ask you again, Chief Prosecutor. During that trial 2 years ago, did you really present all the evidence in court? Can you look me, an investigator in that crime, in the eye and say that you did? Chief Prosecutor, you didn't.
I don't have to, Officer Marshall.
Why won't you answer him?
Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to, in order for him to get the verdict he deserved.
But, Lana...
Even if it involved forging evidence.
See? That's what I'm talking about. No. No! Order! 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 Order!
Lana's remark caused such a stir that chaos in the courtroom could not be quelled. The conclusion of the trial would have to wait until the following day.
Man, I forgot how aggressive the court noise was at this point. Jesus. That's the loudest it ever gets, I think.
Oh, yeah. They angy.
They is angy. I do think that's... I'm trying to think through the cases. I think that is the loudest they ever get. But, I mean, that's... go ahead, sorry.
I was saying, I think so, but that's a huge thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's the chief prosecutor admitting to forging evidence on top of all of the circumstantial evidence piling on top of Miles just after he had been acquitted of murder. So... the population isn't looking on the prosecutor's office very fondly right now. All right. Is it time for a break?
Time for a break.
Time for a break. Okay, so... sorry I lost my shit near the end of this episode here, but I could not get through that line. I just kept going British in my head, and it was like, don't think about pink elephants. It was just happening. So I just had to rush through it, and then I was able to get back into it. So I'm sorry about that. But, yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed. Jake is fantastic, and I feel really terrible for him. I love Jake very much.
Marshall's Bro Appreciation.
Yes, Marshall Brother Appreciation Life. I agree 100%. So, for those in chat, stick around. But for those of you watching on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. And we will see you next time on the final investigation day. So we've got to figure out what the hell is going on. We don't even have any idea, really. And we've got to check on Miles and do a bunch of different stuff. So we've got a little bit yet. So thank you guys so much for watching. This is Danny.
And Katie.
Signing out. Thank you guys so much, and take it easy.